Try that again. We'll call to order the regular school board meeting for September 19th, 2024. It is the mission of the Solon Community School District to engage every student in opportunities to learn, read, and grow. Natalie, can you call the roll?
Sure. Roll calls. Here. Wolf. Here. Valeska.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Student rep Bree Henning. Here. And Coons is not here.
In route. Well, no, he gets her. But it just.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to everyone's here tonight. We've got a somewhat full agenda. Celebration achievements. Davis, you gonna talk about?
I'm gonna let the principal start that celebration.
Okay.
Mel, you wanna go first, right? I said that.
I would say celebrations right now, we did some beginning of year professional development around math workshop, and our first thing to bite off was implementing number sense routines at the beginning of our math block. And so it's been really fun and exciting to see kids starting the math block with those number sense routines. It gets everyone talking, everyone can share. And just seeing the way kids are thinking about numbers and problems. And teachers have reported like, it is just a fun uplifting way to start the math lesson, and then everyone's kind of ready to go and jump into whatever that day's lesson is. So that's been really fun to see that professional learning happened like August 22nd. And then to see them implementing that right away in every room.
SIS in literacy. So we did when we looked at all of our data last year, we decided to make a big shift at SIS in order to address some of those needs. And so we are starting with what's called reading strategy groups within our reading workshop times. We have 90 minutes a day for our reading workshop time. And our teachers are so excited about just the work that we're going towards with that reading strategy group. So we have upcoming PD for that. On October 3rd celebration, we got 10 subs that day so that all of our teachers can attend that full day training. So that was pretty phenomenal of our substitutes to come in mass droves for us like that day. But there's a lot of really good work going on in terms of we had our data wall for reading today so that we could think about those groups and what skills and strategies they might need. As we prep for that, we've done some great work with Jody Idol as well. And I personally, since being a Solon, have never seen teachers more excited about the shift that we're making and the readiness that they have from that knowledge base and moving forward. So it's really exciting to see you all in.
A lot of things going great at the high school. I'll save the ICAP for just in a second here when I'll give the report on that, but that's been just phenomenal to see the focus on our career and academic planning and just the group of people that are behind that. We've already had our ICAP day #1, which we'll talk about a little bit there, but just to see the opportunities that they're providing for the kids and what's there is just, it's been a breath of fresh air for me coming over from South Dakota and just not having some of those resources and those teams that have really put some of that stuff together. So that's been fantastic. To do parent teacher conferences as we speak, which seemed really crazy and early, but when you're on the block schedule, you know, we're basically a quarter of the way into some of those classes already. So they're doing that as we speak there, and then we're just gearing up for homecoming next week.
Good. There's also a note in this about the expansion of archery and industrial tech. You want to add on that other than working with that important for archery and providing more opportunities?
Yep, you can see 2 archery trailers out in our parking lot. One houses a lot of the archery equipment, kind of stores it and they travel with it. And then the other one is they're doing 3D target archery too. And so the other trailer is full of 3D targets. But yeah, the archery program, they're going to expand down to 4th and 5th grade. And so we will, they'll be competing at our home meets 4th and 5th grade this year, prepping them. And then the following year, they'll go out on the road to other competitions, 4th and 5th grade, and we'll put it into our program like we have the junior high level. And then what was the other one?
Industrial tech.
Industrial tech. Were you gonna talk about that or? You were doing ICANN?
I got ICANN.
Okay.
But we
Well,
bought-
Yeah, just so you know, JJ, our instructor, he's been doing a great job, making alterations in what used to be the industrial tech building. And then it turned back, it got handed over to maintenance. We cleaned that up and he went out and got us 6 welders, donated, from other programs to us. And so we've got a welding room. Our welding classes are full. And, it's just, there's more opportunity now for kids in that area and, making headway on really turning that into a really fine facility program for, he's doing a good job doing that. And then, of course, we're transporting 19 kids to students to Prairie to participate in their ag and their FFA program. So,
Real quick on the archery, you mentioned, based on this field, and that field, what will happen next, the archery into the PE class, because that's one of the requirements. You can't compete, you must be offered as part of the PE curriculum, so.
right,
It's a requirement to have an archery club.
Yeah, so,
to compete.
yeah, compete, you have to.
To compete
Yeah, it has to be.
as an archery club, you have to have it as part of the PE
Curriculum, yeah.
unit.
That's why in year 1, they're only going to shoot as like exhibition at our home meet.
I see.
District reports, focus on learning, Lakeview data and goals update. Principal Westland.
And the PowerPoint is attached to the bottom, if you, it's easier to look at your computers.
All right. So just kind of, wanting to walk through the process of taking our end of the year data, analyzing that, at the end of the year and over the summer with, PLC facilitator team, as well as our building interventionist, literacy interventionist and our instructional coach, to kind of see what are we doing well and where are gaps and what can we do, to address those needs. So you'll see there, our goal on our plan on the page last year was that 95% of our students would meet grade level benchmarks, as measured by electronic assessment. This slide just kind of has a breakdown by grade level of kids that were on or above, with 76% of our kids being on grade level or above as a school. The next slide, you will see, again, just that breakdown in that 24% of students who were below. And so really taking some time as a team and digging in, what is it that's contributing to that? Our students, thinking through like, is it accuracy that's holding them back? Are they struggling to decode? Is it their phonics skills that are attributing to them not being able to decode? Is it fluency? What strand of fluency is it that they're struggling with? Is it comprehension? Looking at like our shared reading and interactive read aloud time. What does comprehension instruction look like there? So really just digging into those benchmarks, those records, and finding where those gaps are with that team. We go into the next one. We also looked at this quick phonics screener data. So we give this the full phonics screener 3 times throughout the year, and then we have quick checks about every 4 to 6 weeks. So in this, it targets specific phonics skills. There's kind of cut points for each grade level. And we had 33% of our students who were not meeting that end of year benchmark there. So again, like what instruction is happening in the classroom? What are those grade level standards? How often are they getting that exposure? And what are we kind of missing that we need to address within instruction? So as we look at that, we also noted that we're seeing that maybe some kids are at or above grade level, but they're not making a complete year's worth of growth. So while they're already proficient, we are not extending them a complete year beyond that. So that kind of, through all of that kind of data analysis, reflection, asking lots of questions of our team, looking at the instruction that's happening in the classroom, and kind of reflecting on what do we want the goal to be for next year. That's kind of where our plan on a page goal for this year came from, that not only would students be at grade level, but that every student would make 1 year's worth of growth. So if you come into 3rd grade already, near grade level, we're still going to extend you a year to that. Kind of that accountability for every student. Going there. So then what does that response look like? This is kind of, what we've taken as kind of our game plan for this year. So broke this into 4 slides for you to kind of look at each of these areas. So for professional learning this year, we've worked to align the phonics and word study lessons within phonics and Canal to make sure that they're aligned to the grade level standards. We've done some explicit mapping of skills within those grade levels and use of common language that we can make sure that the phonics instruction that we're giving is explicit and kids are hearing that same language across grade levels, but then with interventionists as well in other grade levels and with other teachers and providers. We've done some learning around high density tasks. We know when our kids are in small groups, that means other kids are working independently during that time. So we want to make sure that when kids are working independently, they're working on like high level tasks. And so what does that look like? What does that look like in a kindergarten room to make sure that they're really digging in and having application time for that skills and having time to practice? We've done some learning around decodable usage and identification of specific reading behaviors. So when kids are using a decodable, the reading record looks different. The data that we get from that looks a little bit different. What are those specific reading behaviors that we're looking for? And then how do we use decodables as well, since that's not something that we've used in the past. Last thing for professional learning, and this is probably the main point that's going to be throughout the entire year, is unpacking our literacy priority standards. The literacy standards changed a little bit for this year, as well as some new grading practices. And so just digging into those literacy standards and making sure that everyone has a really clear idea of what is the standard asking kids to do and is our assessment element. So professional learning looks like much of that happened already this year. We really started the year heavy with that, and then we'll continue throughout this year. What resources have we allocated to kind of filling this gap? This summer, we were blessed with Davis and Josh giving us permission to spend $60,000 to purchase decodables. We have an immense amount of decodables in our kindergarten, first grade, and second grade classrooms. So really feeling like we can pull books. Kids are going to have exposure to lots of different texts. They're not going to have to reread the same books over and over. They're going to get practice with lots of different texts and high interest color printed books in their hands. So that's really exciting. Teachers are very excited about that. We've purchased and developed some high density task materials. So those are materials are ready to go. Teachers can easily pull those and have students working on those in those independent times. We've purchased materials for explicit letter and sound instruction in our kindergarten classrooms. And then just some pieces that we've purchased in the last couple of years. We purchased Patterns of Power last year for all kindergarten through third grade classrooms. That helps us really target instruction in the area of like writing conventions and grammar. It's quick, but it's pretty explicit. And so we saw some gaps there, so filling that. And then 2 years ago, we purchased Haggerty for all of our preschool K and 1 rooms, as well as special education, to increase our phonemic awareness instruction. How has our instruction changed? Again, we're using those decodables in our K3 classrooms throughout small group time. We, our kindergarten team piloted this last year, and we're expanding it across the building this year, that kids are meeting in classrooms across the grade level. We're sharing kids. So they're making sure that their small group instruction is targeted to exactly what they need, where there might only be 1 or 2 other students at that same level in their classroom. We can pull together across classrooms to make sure that those kids get exactly what they need versus making groups work within the classroom. We've also increased collaboration and alignment between our special education teachers, our interventionists, and the classroom teacher. We know students who already have identified IEP goals in the area of literacy. We need to make sure that the different providers they're meeting with are all on the same page about what that instruction looks like. So just increased collaboration there. We've streamlined our data collection measures to best inform our instruction. So again, that reading behavior checklist, what does that look like? And then ensuring students have adequate exposure, instructions, and practice with skills before moving ahead. We feel that like pressure to keep them moving and keep going and make sure we get to all the things we need to get to, but is that prohibiting kids from being really solid in some of those skills, and we're pushing them too far too quickly without having a really solid understanding. So just being, more cognizant and mindful of that. And then, increasing opportunities for kids to be met within small groups, one-on-one, in boost groups, things like that. How can we really capitalize on the people that we have and the time they have open in their day to be meeting with kids and giving them. Then lastly, how are we going to collect and review data, to know if any of these changes are having an impact? So, bi-weekly, our intervention team and, our intervention PLC team meet. We kind of talk through students of concern. What are we seeing? What do we need? We have 5 quick checks every 4 weeks, so checking in on those skills. Are kids picking that up? Do we need to keep moving them ahead? Or no, so-and-so is still really struggling. What can we do to increase that instruction? Our data wall, kind of what Mel was saying earlier, we meet every 5 to 6 weeks for data wall, go through kids' data one by one and put them into intervention groups. We're setting aside time to review that student's year's worth of growth too. So teachers have more accountability on, here's where all my kids came in. You know, now we're to October, where are they at? Are they on track to meet that year's worth of growth for every student rather than only our students who are below level? And then we're documenting these changes. We want to be able to go back, know what worked and what didn't, what was it that we did? So making sure that we're documenting those in our curriculum maps so that we can use those for future. What would success look like? It would be that all of our kids make a year's worth of growth. All of our kids are proficient on that benchmark assessment, and all of them are proficient on that quick find screen. So where are we at currently? We're finishing our data collection, collecting that QPS benchmark and fast data. We'll begin compiling that data to see kind of where's our starting point this year. What did that summer slide look like for kids? Our intervention team met today, right before this, to kind of talk through who's kind of on our watch list right now, who we want to make sure we're keeping a really close pulse on. We're also in the process right now of getting students into best fit guided reading groups. So again, meeting as a grid level, talking through where kids are at so that instruction can start on Monday. Our data wall will be next Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll do the planning so that those response intervention groups can start to fall. That's kind of where we're at now. I'll be able to report back later.
Yes, I always have questions. We're piloting a mirror? Are you piloting a mirror? How does this weave into that? And tell the audience who doesn't know about mirror, what is mirror?
Amira is an AI generated reading assistant that students read text or do phonics activities on an iPad with like the device to be able to like speak into it. It tracks them reading and then uses AI technology to give micro interventions in response to what kids are reading into the program. So then it gives those micro interventions. We then have a dashboard, or we'll have a dashboard of reports that we can get from that. One of the reports I've seen looks very similar to like a running record. It will show us what mistakes the kids made, and then you can actually like listen exactly to what it recorded the kid reading. And we'll be able to compare kind of what we're seeing in small groups to what kids are producing when they're using the Mira throughout the school day.
Or is it a certain classroom or?
No, we're doing it across our entire building.
Oh, really? So
Every kid,
K-3
K3, 4, 5.
and 4-5.
Yeah. And we'll put that into the, what she said, 90-minute reading block and identifying some instruction. You know, if I'm working with a small group, what are the other kids doing? Well, this is one of the activities that they'll be engaged in during that 90-minute reading block. I think it calls for 3 lessons a
10
week.
lessons.
3, so yeah, so
We
during.
go through an individual profile.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, good.
School.
The state purchased it.
For this year. Yep.
Sure.
So we thought we'd pilot and see,
Oh,
yeah, if it had an impact, if it was good data collected and, you know, just, yeah, I mean, yeah.
no, they can't. It's so like, where does that fit into this?
It's part of the
Additional. Yep, it's additional. So
It doesn't replace anything.
it doesn't replace
No.
anything. So here's
Good, yeah.
here's our plan, all like constructed with last year's data prior to knowing the state was purchasing it.
Yeah.
Like, was our game plan, and Amira is just gonna be a complement to that. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it called?
So it's words that can be like phonetically sounded out. So Dan can hit. Dan can hit. So all of those words can like be phonetically sounded out.
So it's not saddle keys and all that cute stuff. It's just.
Some of it is, but it's not gonna have like. Dan drove his car to the stadium. Like stadium is not gonna be a word that they can sound out.
Okay.
Yeah. But as they learn those phonics patterns and like as they, on like that QPS, as they move up in skills, like the word drove, they would be able to sound that out, because they,
Spot run.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I really want to challenge myself, I'll read some.
That's decodable. So it causes kids to actually have to pay attention to the print versus like in a picture.
Yeah.
We can sometimes like provide a picture for a kid and then they get to where they don't know, so then they like look to the picture and guess.
Yeah.
They can't do that necessarily because
Yeah.
it might not match up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it's not gonna have words that is gonna cause them to have to like look to a picture.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
So some of this data that we got, like, second grade, 26, on grade level, there's a percentage that was below. Did we have any touch with them in the summer or any kind of thing that we kind of tried to kickstart so they didn't fall too far behind, especially with the slide?
That's a good question. So they all qualified. If they were not on grade level for benchmark, they would have all qualified for the summer reading program. Does not mean that they, Yeah.
Fortunately.
but if they don't qualify, if they're not on grade level, they qualify for the summer.
You know what, the portion chose participate or?
But I can pull that data and
I know
see.
past
Yeah.
years it has not been as great as we would like. It's been nowhere near 100%.
And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very, very one-to-one or
Yeah.
groups of 3 or 4.
Yeah, groups of 3.
Do we
Yeah.
have a problem staffing it just because we can
No.
find? No, we never had. a
We don't
problem.
turn anyone away.
The last 3 years, we've had extra staff
Oh, really?
on deck as subs to teach.
So there is room for more, should we want?
Yeah, if we need it, yeah, yep.
Say elected.
How do we get the families to commit, because they want the kids to go to this camp or that camp, and so they're like, well, they can't do this. They're gonna miss this week, they're gonna be at grandparents, and so I'm trying to remember some of the excuses. The rationales we got for why they don't use that.
Now, those kids that attend our BSAP,
A lot of them, yes, because then we just pull them
and
from
then we
the
pull them from
Yeah.
BSAP during the day.
That makes it
Yeah.
easy. It's
Yeah.
the other ones that have alternate rates. for the
Yes.
staff, and they'll come.
Yes.
It's transportation
Yes.
issues.
Yep.
And they're working, the parents
Yeah.
are working, and it's just.
Yep,
Yeah, we just, have to know how to be more creative. If there's ways to-
Well, if some of it's a transportation issue, is there a way that we can offer that? Like not a bus, but if we have a van or something?
Oh,
or
that
no.
future work for you. She has future work for you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I should have noted, because Chris forgot to tell me that Dan arrived shortly after we said the pledge of allegiance. I should have said that on the record.
5:31.
Oh, we got it.
Turn that on.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
Thank you.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for, it's super helpful, they can get into I particularly like to get into the weeds and it's super helpful to understand that our response, if you see data, now we're taking action on it. So, thank you.
Principal Bunkers is going to talk to us about the ICAP Day, and for those who haven't met him, I met him recently, so welcome to the district. Yeah, for those of you who are new high school principal.
Thank you. No, appreciate it. I think I've had the opportunity to meet most, but if I have not, just thank you to everybody for the welcome, and it's been just overwhelmingly supportive, and everybody has been great, and just as given me some grace as we learn some new things, and as it's kind of ironic as we talk about ICAP a little bit, the running joke is it's one of the 72 new acronyms that I had to learn when I got over to Iowa here. What is this and this and this and this? And one day I think I was in the office and I said, I got a meeting in like 15 minutes in the FCA.
We're far away.
Very easily, so I started doing that, but ICAP, like I said, started even the team that does the ICAP, started before the school year even did. And so that was again, just kind of the number, my eyes open to the really what they've put into this, what they want it to be. And so being a part of that has been great. We had our first ICAP day on September 11th. Where we took the morning, about 2 hours in the morning to do that. We'll have another one coming up October 23rd. And then we do have activities where we do ICAP during some of our CLT time, like today. During our time, we were in doing ICAP things as well. So we dedicate some of our CLT time to doing those things. But day one really did, it's different by grade level. So our seniors all have senior sponsor. Their day was really meeting one-on-one, setting up a one-on-one time with their senior sponsor, looking at the graduation progress, making sure they have everything in their schedule that they need to for this year to be able to graduate. And then secondly, really looking at what were the next steps of life after school and what could we do to help, what would the next step be to really explore something or really solidify what your choice was when you got out of school. Whether that was, do we still need to go look at a job shadow? Do we need to go look at an internship? A college visit, you need to go on campus somewhere and see what's going on there and how can we help with that? So it's really getting them to think about what's the next step of really solidifying what I want to do when I leave Solon High School. Our juniors went to a career fair at Kirkwood. And then in our one in October, they will go, they have a choice to kind of go out and see another college campus, to go see a pipe fitting, if they want to go out and actually kind of take a look at one of the trades and actually go on site and look at that. So they've got a couple different options coming up where it's really getting them off campus and kind of taking them and giving them those opportunities to get out there. Sophomores, we use a platform called Zello. All of our students do. Zello is kind of a hub for lessons that revolve around their career and academic planning, where they're putting in their classes that they're taking. They can make resumes in there. They're talking about the experiences that they've done, and they're kind of putting it all together, talking about their interests and their personalities and putting that all together where that kind of leads to what might be potential career opportunities. So our sophomores did some lessons in there about workplace skills and attitudes the other day. They also had the workplace learning connection come in, which I thought was just a tremendous resource through Kirkwood that came in and really just said, if you've got something that you want to go look at for a job shadow, all you got to do is come in and apply, tell us what that is. We'll work to then make that happen. We've got the resources out there. We've got companies that want to take students in. You tell us what you want to do, we'll make it happen. So our goal this year was to get 60% of our sophomores to do that. And so we're going to put efforts into making sure we just get them started early. I think it's important that they do that instead of waiting till their senior year. Not that it's not important then, but I think the earlier they can kind of start ruling some things out or getting a better idea of what's going on in some of those careers. And again, I always tell them it's just as important to maybe see something and realize you don't want to do it, than going out and solidifying something. So if you think you want to go into the health sciences and you go out and you start seeing something that a nurse might do and go, no, I can't handle the blood, can't do some of those things, you can cross it off the list and you know that you at least can do that. So they came in, just talked about what they can do. They do 3 different windows of job shadowing that students can sign up for throughout the year. So the first one closes tomorrow, I believe, but then they have 2 more opportunities where they can get into that this year as well. Our freshmen did a personality style, kind of the start of their Zello of things they enjoy, what's their personality, so it can start matching up to, I'm a very outgoing person. These are some things that they start going, these are some careers that could potentially match up with that. So they can start looking at that and then also look at their classes that they might need to take to get to there. Goal setting, they did goal setting just for the year, but also for their high school career. They look at that as we go on, every time we do some ICAP things of how those goals might be changing, their progress towards them. So they took a look at that. They did a scavenger hunt to find their way around the school just a little bit. That was more of just a fun thing on ICAP day to see what they could find on campus. And then they had a silver cord presentation, both our sophomores and our freshmen. Silver cord, for those of you that might not know, is really about service and finding service opportunities outside of maybe a club that you're already doing something for or an athletics that you're already doing something for. It's really finding service time on your own accord and give it back to your community and to your school. So they had a presentation on that about, if they would like to pursue that and what some of their plans might be that would qualify for that. So it was nice to see a focus on service as well, and the students that are already turning in a number of silver cord ideas that they want to start collecting some of their service hours for. Like I said, ICAP is really, it leads into DCAP, and I won't get too far to that, but that's our district plan. And we've already started talking to middle school and even down to the intermediate and the elementary school. How do we start anything, of some career exploration down, with some of our extras, our specials down in the lower grades to get them some exposure to different things, whether that is computer skills, or we even talked, at what level do we start a foreign language? Of just some of the basic things of those and starting to look at just some of those skills. So going forward, we've turned the DCAP in for the year to the state. That was due at the beginning of September. It's really a forward-looking document, so we kind of had to meet to look at what we're going to do this year, but it gives us an opportunity to also look at how we can refine some of those things and start to give our students better opportunities. So I've got a couple of words written in my office that simply says opportunity and exposure. And so what we can do to give our students opportunities to get out and see those things and get out of the building. I encourage them to do so. We excuse those absences, so it gives them a little incentive too, that they're not, gonna be counted on excuse from school, so they get to go out and do those things. So we'll continue our efforts in that to make sure that we're just giving them every opportunity to do that, and making sure we are giving them the resources to make those connections, so that they can know where to turn if they want to go to a education career day at the University of Iowa, or if they make sure they know about them, and then to make sure that we can do everything we can to support them to get to those events. So, like I said, just was a breath of fresh air. It's just leaps and bounds ahead of some of the other states around and some of the districts that I've been in. Still some definite work to do, and that we can continue on what we're doing here, but there's a very, very solid foundation of getting our students these opportunities early and then building on that throughout high school.
So do you think if you had ICAP, you would have done that transfer?
Potentially, if I would have had ICAP, I probably would have maybe, I don't know, I maybe wouldn't have taken 10 years to figure out I wanted to go into education. I wouldn't have been 28, quitting my job and figuring out that maybe, the business world was great, but there was a different calling. So if I would have had ICAP, maybe would have explored that a little further, and it would have, saved me a little bit of schooling and some money, but, it is, again, just some of these things, there's just some great resources. I just want to make sure the kids take advantage of them, knowing that they're there. And so we're just doing everything to make sure that we put together just a simple Google Classroom right now that is just career exploration, where we're just posting things that are available too. If it's a health sciences day that's in Des Moines, virtual things that are going on, just to make sure that the students have one more resource to go to make sure that they know those things are there, and then we give them the time to be able to do this. So I think it's a great endeavor, and I just can't wait to be a part of it going forward.
Other questions? Thanks for the update.
Appreciate it.
We'll be nice to you tonight and keep the questions. Board committee updates. Also includes anything this month? Go ahead.
About our update?
Yeah.
So I think you came and presented a little bit, Holly, about what was going on, was probably as a result of Dan and I meeting with Davis and Josh regarding just what are we doing, what's some of the data that we're using, how can we strategically think about our goals for this year, and allowing the principals to be empowered to come and talk a little bit more about how they're addressing the key concerns, because the data that we're seeing is not something that we necessarily feel super excited or proud about. So let's see what we can do as an organization to kind of shift and move in the right direction.
Yeah, I think the biggest message we try to get to the administration is, hey, things don't always go how we want them to go, right? We all know that. It's what we do when we find those points to go forward from there, and that's really where we are as a board, Now, if we continue down this path, that's obviously something different, but if we continue to change, I think we're going to change, then we know what we're after. And I think we're hand in hand with that, so.
If we don't surface the data, then how do we know?
Capital projects. Welcome to us, anything?
We met with, we did a walkthrough, Morrison Construction a couple weeks ago. And walked around the elementary, it was good, we dig in a lot, and kind of see things and get an idea, we'll get what people. You want to elaborate, I think, just in the email that was sent out earlier, I think, being a CBM at risk would probably be what we're gonna have to look at for that building. The other ones, obviously, wasn't a need, but we don't know what we're gonna get into on this project. They need that, elaborate.
Yeah, I just think my thoughts too are that we need to go with the CM at risk, just because of that. There's a lot to that remodeling project. There's a lot of needs and a lot of, who knows what we're gonna find when we take this wall down to, so, and I think our best move is to go that way, because then they can start from the beginning with the architects and everything when they're making plans and, to try to keep us within budget. And move forward. There's a lot going on there and a lot of different areas that need addressed. So I think I agree that
Well, I
that's our best way.
You did, we talked with her this week too, Jamie and I, I'm like, and she said, you got such a great district, all our buildings are fantastic, that's probably the one that needs the most kind of attention and detail, that's the first building, right, that our kids really get into when you start coming into the district, so we want to be proud of it, want to do it the right way, so I'm excited, it's gonna be great when it gets done, we're gonna get started, but yeah, I think we're gonna have to go through a little process to get that going, but the CM at risk, probably a no-brainer, so.
No such background, again. Financial services, I don't think there's anything this month for financial services. We'll get your end budget stuff here from that probably next month as we close out last year.
Policy stuff, we covered is,
Policy stuff's coming along. I think this is an easier policy coming up. 182, 2080 agreement. Alaska.
Yeah, that's one that we're gonna look at, obviously with your help, we talked earlier this week too, so we'll try to get that all kind of buttoned out.
I stopped with the city council about that. If it's county, it's issues, trying to send the cities very, what they want to change to at the end of this week, so. And this week, I guess. Good to know, yeah. Particularly since I think we drew there, there's a good stuff, yeah. We'll see what happens. Davis, on this one, but. Yeah, I think we need to be on that just to make sure we're managing that area. It's something that you need to be in good shape. I know that there's a little consternation earlier this week with the digging up of the area between the baseball field and the old soccer area of the cross country meet, and all of a sudden there's dirt in the tunnel where the cross country is supposed to happen. There've been no communication with the schools. I'll move back to the high school, trying to figure out how to cross country meet if we can go cross country track. So we'll have to dig into that. I'll dig this in 2080 to the field. Wellness committee. I don't know who's on this other than Dan. Is Dan and Cassie? Who's else is on it?
Do we even have a wellness committee?
Yeah.
Dan and.
It's coming up this year. It'll be Dan for sure. Jamie, yeah.
This was the light issue. She fits with broader out for.
This, yeah, next month I'll bring to the board the approval for the committee. Because this year is the year for the evaluation. It's a 3-year cycle, bring that group back together. So we'll probably do something similar. I might ask for your opinion if there's anything differently we need to do with that. But yeah, this is the year where we're up, so.
Okay, well, that's it. That consent agenda. Hold on. If not, I'll entertain a motion. Motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Coons. Second by Alaska. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Action item, second reading board policies, 4.5, 7.2, this deals with our Narcan and drug administration. Any additional questions? So second reading, any updates? Based on last meeting?
No, nurses are taking a look at trying to get in contact with folks to get access to the Narcan. And then the other question we're looking into is in the policies, it specifically states, the training aspects of that, as well as and I don't know that there's a certification or anything goes with that, but the nurses want to make sure that we're staying close to what the board policy says.
It's interesting. she's in. American are attached to the AED boxes.
Yes, that's a plan. We're gonna put those into the AED boxes, yep. Along with, we have some nice brand new, like really nice stop the bleed kits. That we're planning on putting in those AED boxes as well.
I found one of those in my office today. When I was looking for somebody else, I'm like, please put a stop the bleed kit in my office. So, any questions, any comments, any discussion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading of board policy 804.25 and 507.42.
Motion by Alaska,
Second.
second by Wolf. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Nothing unanimously. Approved FY 24-25 fiscal year fundraisers. I think you guys started on this last month while I was gone, and then the point for this month. I will leave it to you guys. Is there anything we need to discuss here? Because I wasn't here for the initial discussion.
Well, we wanted to make sure you were part of the accessibility.
I appreciate that greatly.
I was going to go ahead, but.
Wait for Tim.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, as long as they're getting in Casey and the school's aware, I think that's what we just want transparency to make sure that,
I did appreciate that there's more detail on there, so I think one of the aims with this is right. Goal for the fundraisers is to fill those needs and making sure that they know how much money they have, what their needs are. The goal is not to raise funds just so you can stockpile $500,000 in an account, so eventually you need it sometime in the future. Yeah, because if we raise.
Is there $500,000?
No. No, but you know, if Bree is raising funds, it would be nice if those funds were spent on Bree and the student which she's involved with, rather than saving that money for 5 years for students that aren't raising. So the general idea on the activities funds is that it's supposed to roll over and support the students that are in the program as the funds are being raised. And so sometimes you need to stockpile money if you're gonna have a big expenditure.
yeah, but you know what it is and you know.
You set money aside. I think that's fine. Like, we just want to make sure that. Sometimes I think they say, well, we always do this one. You may have no expenditures this year, so raising money is just so you can have something to spend it on in 2 to 4 years is not a. It's not a good use for the students to go out and raise money. So that's just our mindset. We want to make sure that they, having them look at their numbers is good. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the fundraisers.
24-25.
Motion to approve the FY 24-25.
FY 20, I was looking for the motion to approve the FY 24-25 fundraisers.
Motion by roll call, second by Coons. Any discussion? Bree, any thoughts on fundraisers from a student perspective that we could keep in mind? No money. She likes money, okay. Any other discussion other than no money?
Just this. We always say it, but this town is very saturated with fundraising, and so. If there's anything we can do to eliminate some of the fundraising based on activity funds that we have, we certainly should always look.
Agreed, I think, we've also talked in the past, if we consolidate or the one big fundraiser funds a lot of stuff rather than a lot of smaller ones, and maybe we need to re-engage with the booster club and spotlight. About, is there a way we can have a school-wide fundraiser that supports a lot of these things rather than a nickel and dime here and there, so.
Because I know some, well, you know, talking about before, sometimes that's one really big, you know, everybody's involved one time, you know, so it's not just trickle. And I think it's gonna take, you know, a relationship with Casey, with coaches, because, you know, I brought this up to some of the coaches and they're like, well, we got about fundraisers. Oh, you know, so I think they've got to trust that they're gonna get that money.
As long as you do not eliminate the softball lasagna.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So the motion carried unanimously. 13 of board policies 501.3, 501.10, 501.10, R1, 711, whatever, all these policies that we need to do tonight to move things along.
I'll speak to those.
Okay.
So the 500 series, that it's the, you know, the new law took effect for attendance, chronic absenteeism and truancy. And so these policies are language from ISB. And we've adjusted our practices based upon these policies that meet the new state law. So that's why we've put forward these, policies for, attendance. So that we comply with this new state law as of July 1st. And then, with all of our new cameras installed, throughout the schools and with cameras on school buses, we needed to, update our use of recording devices, within the district and make sure, again, we were complying with policy. So that is behind these policies.
So these are out of sight. Any questions for Dennis on those policies?
No, we'll, first reading and second reading for obviously next month, but then we'll get to the next one. I see you kind of double up there.
Yeah, and note these policies, anything that, from ISB, of course, you know, there's a little bit on how districts implement. We highlighted those where we had a little local flexibility. So that's why there's highlights in that.
I did note that we've got particular numbers that other districts are using different numbers for what they're finding, so it might be. I'd be interested in knowing kind of the rationale, and I don't think we need tonight, because we're in the first reading and tonight, but it might be useful to look at how consistent are with other districts of our size, and that you always look at those comparables. And are we kind of the cluster, whatever is doing, are we an outlier in terms of too few days to say you're chronic, or too many days, and so just kind of an understanding of where people are drawing those, other districts are drawing those lines at.
Yeah, some of the changes are because it's based upon, percent
Yeah.
of your days. And so we look at, you know, our first semester is a little short as far as, you know, 90 days and 90 days for second semester. And so you take a percent of the number of days we have in the first semester, we refer to as the grading period under the law. Well, you know, if we only have, you know, 80 days, whereas the district next to us has 90, our number will look a little bit different. And so there's some variance in the actual raw number of days that you're allowed based upon the percent. It says in the law, it's the percent of days you missed in a grading period. We defined our grading period as semester 1, semester 2, and then base that percent off the number of days in that
I
semester.
think some of the districts need to find it as a quarter, because it was something.
Yes.
Their numbers are like almost half of ours. I'm like, okay, I was just trying to get my head around. So.
Yeah.
And she was, and the one parent I was talking, it's like, hey, that's COVID, they're out for 10 days, 2 weeks. So like, they've exceeded the period. It's like, so there is this thing about how long did I find the grade, which is your base grading period? She's like, her kid was out last year with COVID, was out 9 days, and it's like, my kid would be in trouble this year. It's like, well, they want me to send them to school sick, so, I think to find out the semester gives us a little bit more flexibility, while also catching kids soon enough if they're having issues, so. And you guys already do a good job of staying on top of kids who are not in school with Jake and the other high school staff,
We, like I said, we were number 1 of all 33 districts in Grantwood AA. We had the lowest chronic absenteeism at 2%. And the next district closest to us was at 6%. There was a district that had 28% of their students chronically absent. So we far exceeded anyone in the corridor, and that was probably had the best in Iowa. So our families and our kids. What's that?
What constitutes a day? Half day, full
We
day?
had half day and full day. Yeah.
And like, I think because I only had like one class now, so my like 2 blocks.
Yeah.
I think the
Yep.
trials that way.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve first reading of board policies, giving them each one individually.
No.
Is that the,
Motion by Alaska,
Second.
second by roll call. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Emergency adoption of board policies 501.3, 501.10, and 501.10R1.
Explaining this. So Chris contacted ISB in the situation where, you know, it'd be 2-month period for this to actually, the attendance to be board policy. And since it came to state law July 1st, We've dissected it, gotten legal counsel, talked about as an admin team on how we're going to administer this. We want it to be effective immediately. And so ISB gave us the guidance to, the board can go ahead and adopt it as an emergency. And still then we'll need to do a second reading, but in between that window of first reading and second reading, we can actually apply this board policy. So we'll still have to have a second reading, and during that second reading, if there's any tweaks or changes you want to make, that's fine, but in the meantime, we can actually have this as board policy. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the emergency adoption of policies 501.3, 501.10, 501.10R1 as presented.
Motion by Lawson, second by Coons, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
They're watching, remember.
Permanent transfer of $5,090 from the activities fund, a couple for the purchase of high school gym wall pads.
Okay, if you haven't been in the high school gym, they look good, don't they? Simplified things, brighten it up, the new wall pads in the competition gym, so technically they're a Pebble purchase, but we paid for them out of our activity account, so we need to transfer, let me see, from the transfers. I'm sorry, activity account, yeah. Pebble had to pay for them. Activity is going to refund Pebble for the purchase of those mats.
And this is because Temple has to pay for them, but they're still functionally,
Activity, use,
because it's aesthetic rather than. So it's not, from a safety standpoint, they would still protect you if you ran into the wall. They just look like crap. So we're replacing them because they don't look good. And so they don't have their useful life.
about the only thing we didn't replace when we remodeled that gym, were the wall mats. They're getting pretty dingy and old looking.
Yeah, these look good, they're different kind of material. Are we gonna be able to finish that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's gotta get paint that matches.
That's the hard part. I figured, I knew it'd be done.
And we extended them greatly. They're much wider. They cover much more of the wall.
Which would be helpful for us,
Look, it's those wrestling parents.
I guess those two. I was thinking about when we got the big event, they go flying off there. They went very close to those walls.
We just need approval to finish for that money.
So wait, I heard it both ways. Who initially paid, what?
Pebble.
Pebble paid
Brian's
for it,
account paid for them out of Pebble, our physical plant levy, buildings and
Okay.
grounds.
and now
But
we're,
the activity fund that
It
Casey
should have
oversees
came
is
out.
going to reimburse Pebble.
got it,
Because it has to, because it's attached to the building, so it's a capital expense.
Yeah.
okay.
I'll make a motion to, make the permanent transfer of $5,900 from the activity fund of Pebble for the purchase of high school gym mat.
Motion by Holliska, second by Wolf. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. SIAC membership approval. Davis? Josh?
Josh?
You?
Yeah, I've just been working on replacing those who asked to not be a part of the SIAC committee for various reasons and tried to recruit at least a couple more, but a few changes, some different teachers, parents that have not been on a committee, so business owners. So I think this will be a good group that will ask them some really good questions, I think, and represent different groups of students and the community in general. So
Anybody else wanna do it besides me? The board?
So we would actually chat about this right beforehand, is, we've gone through different phases in terms of how we handle this. There was a period where we actually had no board members on the whole sheet. They were just they were ad hoc members. So there were two members who were kind of tag team making sure that somebody was at the meeting, and if they didn't make it, the board president was tapped going. So we always wanted to have somebody there, but we didn't like the idea of having a permanent member, because then it felt. Then you want this consultant, I can't go because somebody else is already covering it. So if you're looking from a schedule standpoint, we could remove you
Okay.
and then make it an ad hoc, and then we just make sure that one of us goes, if that's.
Sure.
Okay.
I
Which
just
mean-
didn't wanna, if somebody has a desire, I didn't wanna take somebody's seat.
it's less complicated now because they got rid of the gender balance on there, so sometimes the assigned board member was based on making sure the numbers match male to female exactly even, and so, that was always a struggle. And when we were recruiting, we had 5 male board members, it was really a struggle, you couldn't really have any of us on there and make the numbers work, so.
First meeting's October 7th. Should be great. Monday night, and I looked, there should be no activities, Court. I really studied the activity calendar. Sometimes there is, yes.
Yeah, there is, but I would say we can probably leave it as it is, and Cassie, if you can't make it, just let somebody know, but if somebody really wants to go on a topic night, because David always lets us know what they are, let Jamie go and, but not Cassie know, and we'll make adjustments, but I think, otherwise I think it was good. Any discussion on that? Who are the student members? I guess I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah, Chase Messick.
Is there a motion? Motion to approve the side membership approval as presented, motion by Coons.
Second.
Second by roll call, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Allowable gross enrollment aid for negative special education balance. This one was coming way down. It is coming down. For those of you who don't understand what this is not real money. It was real money that we spent, and that the state and the federal government did not give us. And so we are requesting that the state give us back spending authority for the money that we've already spent that they didn't reimburse us for. And we do this every year, multiple times per year for other accounts. Principal bunkers will get used to this when it comes to meetings, because it's like 4 or 5 times a year, there's different accounts. The at-risk one, which one, yeah, so. So we're requesting $278,000, $278,066.59, so they have to say they rest the approval is. That will remind us you have to use all the numbers in the motion. And it's a roll call.
I'll make a motion to approve allowable growth in supplemental aid for the negative special ed balance of $278,066.59.
Motion by Alaska,
Second.
second by roll calls. Roll call.
Wolf,
Yes.
Roco,
Yes.
Alaska,
Yes.
Coons,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries by.
Yeah, yeah. I don't get to announce it when you do roll call.
Okay.
Then you have to say it at that.
All right. Good to know.
Let's see, new board secretary approval contract. As we all know, Chris is departing us here, and we need to approve a new board secretary moving forward. You've got Natalie tasked with that job, with the council. The payment information attached, writing is somebody.
Right there.
Motion to approve the appointment of new board secretary. And
Oops.
contract.
Nope, not that one. Which one?
I can make a motion to approve the new board secretary as well as the contract. As presented.
That's it.
Motion by roll calls.
Second.
Second by Alaska. Any discussion?
You sure we can't talk yet?
Hearing none. Do one last try. Hearing none. All
Say.
in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Natalie. I know. Don't worry.
You don't move the chair out of the way.
You get to do this again in December. Because we gotta move these things. Okay. And you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, that you will faithfully and impartially to the best of your ability discharge the duties of the office of board secretary, Solon, in the Solon Community School District, as now and hereafter required by law. Congratulations, you are appointed as the board secretary. Okay. Informational items, Lakeview Elementary project.
Yeah, so, Adam shared a little bit earlier in, capital projects report. Jamie, Adam and I, since last fall, we started learning more about CMRs, contract managers at risk. We even invited in 4 different CMR companies to present to us so that we could pick up and just really educate ourselves on the situation. And so, we, again, like Adam talked about, just to bring you up to speed a little bit, there are 3 delivery methods for construction projects. The general contractor is the most common. It's how we built the intermediate school. It's how we're building it now, where an architect designs it. They put it out, contractors bid on it, low bid, automatically gets awarded the contract. When we started the middle school and the CFA project, we hired a construction manager agent. And then the third one is something that the state of Iowa just approved as a CM at risk, and that's new to Iowa. 48 other states had it up until a year and a half ago. Iowa passed it. So the differences between the 3, if you want to flip, as you can see the diagram there, and this PowerPoint should be attached to your computer too. The PowerPoint starts with the CMA, and that was how we started the middle school project and CFA project. And you can see that in that project, the school district is the center. We hire a CMA, but we hold as a school district all the risk because we actually own all the contracts. So we're responsible for all those subcontracts. And you can see some facts about it, you know, as far as the school district's at risk, district holds multiple contracts. The CMA does not hold a single contract. They cannot perform any work. They're just kind of an advisor. The next option, and I just showing you the difference, is that contractor at risk. That's what Adam and Jamie are talking about as far as this may be the best route for us to go in this situation. And you can see the center is that contract manager at risk. We are up at the top. We hire the CMR. In return, they hire out the whole project. They're solely responsible for how that project goes. Now, if you go to the next one.
Well, and not to finish
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
much, it's new to the public sector, the private sectors have it, so it's not like it's something new. A lot of companies and anywhere throughout the state, this is how they do a lot of those kind of projects. It's new because the state just passed the ability for, you know, schools and hospitals to go this route.
Yeah, and when the state opened that up, a lot of these companies from Minnesota and Wisconsin flooded Iowa, because now Iowa can do it too. So if you flip between the CMR and the general contractor, which is the most common one. Yep, you can see they're almost identical, except with this, you can notice the general contractor, we have no choice. Low bid gets the contract. Whereas with the CMR, we can choose who's going to oversee that project to an extent, because with that process, we have to put out a notice of intent on the project and to open it up to every CMR. And then once we get that, we have a request for qualifications, an RFQ, where they've got to meet certain criteria, there's a point system, and then we interview.
So similar to what we do with architects.
Yeah,
We do that,
yeah,
so.
so good. So just wanted to give you some background and so that you're kind of up to speed. And these are presentations, we went through several in the fall. And Adam and Jamie, I think we've had a lot of discussion on, you know, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, if we get to the end of this process and we say we don't like any of the, you know, we don't like, we can always switch to a different model.
Yes.
As long as we haven't hired anybody yet.
Correct.
If he's
Correct.
Brian, this is kind of the way to go for that building.
Absolutely. The biggest point for me is the contractor at risk will be able to be in on the design and will be at the beginning. So we all know architects like to make things look pretty, and they're not always the most functional or the most
cost-effective ways to do things, so you'll get a lot you'll get more for the dollars we're spending. Because they'll be in there to be able to say, don't do it this way, do it this way, you're gonna get the same result, it's just cheaper.
What about the bidding process? Is that,
The CMR takes care of all of it. They'll look at this project and we'll determine a dollar amount. So we'll do this project for X. If it goes over, it's on the CMR, it's not on us.
A lot of times, it's kind of hold their hat on trying to have savings. I mean,
And the other thing is, Dan, on that is, if it's over, they eat the cost. If it's under, we can write it in the contract that we get a percentage of whatever it comes under the bid as well.
yeah, so they're motivated to save money.
Yeah, and I think the big motivation is, like Brian had mentioned, and what Jamie had referred to is, when we look at that building, we can go through that building and have actual people who have boots on the ground that do this work for a living and can point things out. It's like, we can do it this way, and actually sit with an architect through the design process and have a voice at the table, a contract with boots on the ground as this is being designed and developed.
the other thing too, if you go this route, you can, and you know who you're gonna go with, you can kind of pre-order some of the HVAC or circuit boards, and some of that stuff has got a huge delay in it. That's another reason some of these places, especially on a remodel, you're going with that because you can get that stuff quicker. It's built into the contract. If they know they've got it, they'll order it right away. So, yeah, it's got a lot of advantages. I don't see a real disadvantage in this situation.
From like just each particular one, we hire them as opposed to hiring the GC. Okay, what are the costs between the two? About the same? Is the at-risk higher? You know what I mean? If we have that one contract with them, if I'm gonna say, well, right, Brian's gonna be my GC, I have to pay him more or less than Josh, who's my at risk. Is it the same, or do you end up paying more?
No.
for?
Well, you're gonna pay for their fee, you're gonna pay for them, but what they would add, what they would say is, we're gonna, all that money that you're gonna save that, you're not gonna see that, because we're gonna save you that in the design and in the whole process. That's.
Well, I think the argument is, you know, we went through this with the construction area. The whole idea is that it's to be more flexible and the ability to adapt. The problem we had the last time with the construction area, the only risk they were taking was to their reputation, and we've obviously figured out that they really didn't care about that.
Right.
As long as, because every change order was for an increase in cost. So in this case, there's a motivation to keep the cost down. So I think there's a balancing act there. I think,
And being in on the design helps keep the cost down. Yeah, I've seen those problems before they show up.
Yeah. So again, getting the board support with this moving forward, we've got kind of a timeline to where we would put a notice of intent out 1st of October with the notion that through the process that legally we have to go through, we would have a CMR hired in December with the plan that then we would, now we can decide then later, we need to decide, we can, with the CMR hire, the CMR can set up interviews for us with an architect. We can stay with our architect, we can interview architects, and then they'll work together, the CMR, us, and the architect in this design, which the goal is to start this summer, work through the year, work next summer, and complete it.
so even more time efficient than we originally thinking, which is they drive over multiple summers.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they think there's ways we can do exterior stuff while school's going on, and
Yeah,
then
that's
certain
right.
things in buildings as kids go to Lake Theater or SIS.
Quick question on, from a procedure standpoint, I know we, the construction manager, not at risk. That was a process where, you know, some pre-work done up front, and we narrowed it down to, was it two or three
Varsity stories.
There was one other one, but yeah. We narrowed it down to the top three of those candidates, maybe with the whole order, we envisioning something like that for this.
Oh, yeah, good.
Because the committee,
Well, we got it so right the last.
I got it right the last time. This is the board, however, did not. You'll pat yourself on the back. We're learning, you guys are gonna need to on front of this, we're supposed to. Well, this is your homework assignment for next month,
I'm done now, this week, put me down.
Same.
we will briefly discuss at the
Okay,
beginning,
not
on board meeting next month, we'll briefly discuss them, so.
Yeah.
Try to remember whatever you listen
Oh, we're
to.
not discussing.
But I'm traveling, so
Such a hurry, Tim.
This is your homework for next month.
good, 'cause that was crap.
Talking points. Talking points.
Thanks, team.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll work our way around, Jamie.
Well, I just want to thank Chris for, I know Natalie's gonna do a super great job. I have no doubt she's done a great job filling in and all of that, but Chris has, I've only known the board with Chris, so I know that she has taken really good care of us, and there's a lot of little nuanced things that she just makes sure everything runs so smooth for us, and I just really want to say thank you and let you know how much I appreciate you.
Well, I was gonna say a similar thing, you know. When I, first decided to throw my hat in the ring to run, I came in and she was such an encouragement to me. She's like, oh, look at your signature. Oh, this is what you do. And she hands me this beautiful packet of information. And I'm like, that's all I have to do. It's super simple. And then I get on the board and then I get assigned the policy.
Lies, all lies.
The policy committee, she like gives me this stack of binders. I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do? And she's so gracious with all of her explanations and walking through the process and always is very familiar and you always have everyone's best interest at heart, Chris. So thank you for everything that you do.
You're welcome.
I am an emotional person, so I'm gonna.
Don't be. Be excited for me.
I'm excited.
Be excited.
Happy to.
I'm your child leaving for my new adventure, right? Child, but I'm a child.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
No, Francis, we're waiting a couple of months, but, it's good that we're finally doing an overhaul on like, there are no little projects have been addressed, updated, but it's good that it's getting a good makeover.
Mhm.
And, yeah, just Polly's report, you know. just
Very
kind of
good.
after we had a meeting. You know, Chris, thank you. You've been good for business.
I promised you I promised you I'd stay until you were done, but I just couldn't do it. Sorry. I lied about that too.
Yeah, well, now we're all beginning to figure out that she said the hook in your head. Made false promises.
Yeah, no, ever since I came on the board, you've been here, I feel like we're all kind of one big giant family.
We are.
It's
I
not
feel like-
goodbye, I'm happy for you, but
I feel like I'm leaving my family, but I'll tell you what, I have never lived my life for a job. I live my life to have a great life. And I am so ready and excited for myself and consider all of you guys great friends, honestly. And if you ever need anything, let me know, but I just may not answer you, but you can try to call if you want.
you know that we don't get good attendance here, so you can always drop in on.
Right, exactly. But I've got connections to all of you outside of this, you know, and that's why, again, I truly do feel like your family. But I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I'm ready. I'm ready to go to my new adventure and I'm excited. Got another grandbaby coming in January and I'm just missing too much of their lives. No, Turner. Turner. Yeah, no, I'm excited, but thank you. I appreciate it. Natalie will do great and you guys can always get a hold of me. I'll be around somewhere.
Just try anyway.
You could always try, yeah.
Well,
I know. I'll see you at the Hawkeye games. You're gonna take me to a Fever game.
that's what we're gonna do without you around.
You'll be fine.
You can say that, but I mean.
You said that when Marilyn left too.
Oh, I said it in different ways. I've known you a lot longer than I knew Marilyn, so.
I get a crock.
You get a crock.
Fitting.
You get a crock. You have to come out and bring a picture.
No, 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 no. All right.
So-
With everyone. Let's get a picture with everyone.
everyone.
Okay, perfect.
If you're on the board.
Yeah, you are on the board.
I'll be around.
And the faster we do this picture, the sooner you can get home to the game,
I know, right? It's halftime.
Oh, yeah.
not by halftime. Oh, yeah, I forgot the crock.
The most important part.
You the crock.
We'll have Adam say it.
Hold the crock.
And hold the crock.
Chris, you hold the crock, it's your crock.
That's what I told you guys were gonna do.
Do not drop the crock, that's the important thing.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, okay.
Yeah, but the crock would be good for putting some baby toys in there.
Oh, yeah. Or putting it on your front porch with a little gift inside.
That's right. I don't wanna know about that really.
I love this crock, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Hey, who would have thought like 2, 3 years ago? Yeah.
Right?
So moved.
Motion by Alaska, second by Cruz, all in favor.